It is that time for the episode that we have all been waiting for. It is Friday, October the 5th, 2018. And yes, it is a good time to be listening to this podcast. I am Johnny, along here with Edward. How are you doing today, Ed?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Not too bad, other than my
Just excited for this episode.
I'm excited, and I got grass being cut outside right now is why, if anybody can hear the lawnmower in the background, that's what that is. Unfortunately, the bastards couldn't pick another better time to cut the grass. Unfortunately, it is a beautiful October Friday, and what a way to start October off with Halloween. It's the episode we've been waiting for.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, like, one of our favorite movies, I know that for sure, of the spooky season, if you will. But definitely a great movie, any which way you think. Any which way. Because, I mean, honestly, like, if you go and you have horror flicks playing, you've got to have a couple different ones. And I'm sorry, if you don't have Halloween, like, come on. At least one of them, even if it is Resurrection.
No, fuck Resurrection. Halloween is Halloween, and I couldn't be any more excited for this episode. It is a little noteworthy that we should mention last week's episode was all about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Definitely. Which
you can check out now on Podbean, YouTube. Those are up. Those are running. We've had great reviews for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode. And I can't get any more praise for what we have up on YouTube right now or what we have up on Podbean. Everything has been uploading so smoothly. Facebook has not been any nicer to us. We have gotten more likes, we've gotten more shares, we've gotten more subscriptions on the YouTube channel. And our Facebook, if you want to know where we're at Facebook. Search Movie Reels, REELZ, at facebook.com.
Movie Reels 405.
Movie Reels 405.
Can't forget that. Gotta show where we at least are broadcasting from. And, definitely.
It is the Cine-Men movie podcast. And I could not be any more excited for this episode, for this time of year. And
it's just a great time for us, one of our favorite times of year. Well, at least one of my favorite times of year, definitely. Got to put Christmas and Thanksgiving probably second and third, respectively, just because, you know, like the season of giving and like the family season. But
it's good. It's always good.
Love that spooky season.
There's no other things that it doesn't go better. Family, knives, and cutting each other up. It's the best time of year.
Oh, and speaking of Halloween, I mean, you know, supposed stuff at least.
And we are excited. Halloween 2018 is literally
right around the corner.
Right around the corner. The trailers are coming out. The anticipation is rising.
The little Easter eggs are coming out. All kinds of stuff.
We are excited. The weather is getting crisp. The weather is getting nice outside. We got football going on. For everybody listening who is not in the state of Oklahoma or Texas, you guys know what this week is. It is OU Texas weekend.
Definitely.
Just days away. Literally tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Friday, it is tomorrow, October 6th. And there is not yet a spread as we're recording this on Monday. I think Oklahoma's like a 20-point favorite. Do you think it's going to be closer than that?
I do, because, I mean, I'm sorry, either way, no matter how good OU is in the polls or whatever have you, Texas always, even if they suck the entire year, they always show up this game. OU, no matter if they've sucked, they always show up this time of year. So it doesn't matter which side's more favorable. The other team always shows up because it's that rivalry. Right. Simple as that.
Records go out the window during this game. Somebody, I think, is either going to lose by 3 points,
or at least by like 21 or something like that.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I really don't. No. I think it's going to be one of those nail-biting games like last year. Texas was a 20-point underdog last year,
right?
And we only lost the game by 6.
So respectable.
Other news: WWE 2K19. I'm excited for this. I don't care. I'm plugging it this week. WWE 2K19 is out right now. If you're listening to this on Friday, it's out. I am going to be playing it this weekend. I cannot wait for that release. That's always an exciting time of year for me. Other mentions this week is recent watches. Have you checked out anything recently, or?
Basically, honestly, just coming up to Halloween, just putting time and effort into that, trying to get knowledge on that, digging for little diamonds in the
digging for a little bit
dirt.
of potato broth, huh?
A little bit, trying to get those potatoes growing for you. So
we got I've recently I did watch Jurassic World 2 finally.
Oh yeah.
And I was a little disappointed.
Like first time ever?
First time watch.
Okay.
It was my first time watch. I did not get to check that out in theaters. I was really disappointed in Jurassic World 2.
I mean, it wasn't horrible. It just to me, I think they're kind of going too into what the first
it was all over the place for me.
Yeah.
It was all over the place. You got Ian Malcolm talking about the end, how they shouldn't have been brought back to this world, and now that it's their time again, you should just let them go. And then you got people going on an island that nobody wants to be on anyway to save species that doesn't need to be saved anyway, all for pretty much the billionaires to sit back and collect money. To me, I like Jurassic Park Lost World more than I did this one.
I mean, to me, if they're gonna rescue them, they should have did what the actual. Which, yeah, I'm a little bit of a softie, but they should have done what they were gonna say, done like a Noah's Ark kind of deal, to where they put like 2 or 3 of each species onto one of the other Isla islands and just left them alone. Let them be, left them alone. Simple as that. Call it good. That part of the world is sectioned off by itself.
But hey, the franchise keeps making money, and as long as we keep going to seeing them, spending money on the movies, spending money on the Blu-ray, going and spending the money at the box office.
Oh yeah,
they're going to keep making them. I did also get to watch Solo, first time watch by the way, which came out last week, and oh my god, I cannot praise Solo enough. I thought it was going to be. I literally thought it wasn't going to be much. I thought it was going to just be kind of mediocre.
Right.
I thought it was going to be mediocre at best. I didn't think any of the acting was going to be as good as it was. I didn't think the character development of Solo was going to be any good, to be honest with you. But it surprised the hell out of me. I fell in love with all these characters, especially Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. I absolutely love this movie.
He's actually a pretty good actor, honestly. Like, I'm surprised we haven't seen him in anything truly bigger. Yeah, I mean, he's been in some decent roles and some bigger roles, but I'm surprised we haven't seen him in, like, kind of like what they're doing with Michael B. Jordan. Maybe not a villain type, but something like that.
I think he's right now focusing more on his music career, which more power to you.
Oh yeah, he does pretty good in that too.
But everything as far as Solo goes, I enjoyed it as a Star Wars film. It felt like a Star Wars film. The middle, the beginning, the end, the huge surprise almost at the end of the movie, which I don't think anybody saw coming. And if you have not seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you out there. Edward, not. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, sir.
I'm not going to spoil what's in the movie. It's jaw-dropping. It's amazing. And then as far as everything else goes, I have been...
Chewie has kids, doesn't he? No, I'm just kidding.
As far as everything else goes, I am right there with you. I have seen... I watched Halloween... I watched the original Halloween twice in a matter of a few days.
Yep. Last night is when I watched it.
I just watched it now with you for this episode, so I've watched it 3 times in 24 hours. And then I've watched Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 just to get ready for the month of October. But I also watched to get ready for this episode. And we're going to touch a little bit up on Halloween 2 and 3 a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, just to kind of get the little courtesy call, I guess you'd say, to them. Because there's a few little Easter eggs that kind of tie into those more fantasy booking rumor type deals.
Right, but wow. Like, I watched the Blu-ray version of Halloween, and then just a few hours later I watched it restored on 4K because they came out with a 4K copy last week. And it is night and day difference. If you guys, for you 4K collectors out there, the difference is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. Color richness for alone is just different. You can actually see a lot of different things that in the original and the even the Blu-ray that you really couldn't truly pick up on unless you're really, really watching. But even just, like little flashes of the mask, little flashes of different little tidbits and stuff like that. So it was really nice to see the differences.
The Blu-ray to DVD ratio is phenomenal, but the Blu-ray to 4K ratio is out of this world. Anybody collecting those
probably knows what you're talking about already, because
yeah.
the differences in regular DVD to 4K is outstanding.
As we're approaching Halloween, both the season and the movie, we talked a little bit about Texas Chainsaw Massacre last week, how much praise it got. But coming up, certain Blu-ray titles are coming up this week. The first Purge is getting ready to come out. I didn't check that one out in theaters, so I'm definitely going to be checking that out this week.
Yeah, and I'm truthfully just looking forward to a few movies coming up in theaters, for that matter. Venom.
Venom comes out this week. Actually, by the time you guys are listening to this, Venom will already be out. It comes out Friday, October 5th.
Definitely.
Halloween.
Heck, even just to check the couple tracks out that I know are for that, man. Oof.
Halloween 2018 comes out the 18th. And then First Man with Ryan Gosling is coming up, which I keep hearing great reviews about.
I do too. Honestly, just going over what happened with, the first moon landing and how it was done and what was kind of leading up to it. It might not be like hidden numbers, but it'll be kind of a take like that. But yeah, I've heard pretty good things too.
And then back to Blu-ray releases that are coming out soon. Sicario number 2 will be coming out this week. And then next week, next Tuesday the 9th, Skyscraper will be hitting
there you go.
stores. So anything The Rock has done lately, you kind of
has always kind of been big. Yeah.
You kind of have that feeling of, what is he in now? And it looks kind of silly at first, but then when you actually go see it, it's actually not bad.
Well, he makes subpar things pretty good. He really does.
Right,
he kind of brings it up.
I kind of thought that Rampage was going to be stupid, but I actually ended up liking both the character and the ape.
There you go.
So I kind of...
George.
Yeah. My daughter loves Curious George, so...
Oh, there you go.
She actually sat and watched this whole movie just because the ape's name was George.
Hey, no, whatever gets you into it, why not? Why not?
So anyway, we will get ready to cover up on some movie news. But what brought us here today is Halloween. It's John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween. Everything about this movie is amazing, as today's episode is all about Halloween. And after I play this little tidbit trailer here for you, we'll get into some movie news.
The one, the only, the classic Halloween. Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I think he'll come back. The night he came home.
That's what today's episode is all about, is our original favorite 1978 Halloween.
Which I love the little part about where he goes, Halloween, the night he came home. It's like, the night who comes home, like, what is he, and all that. If you don't know much about the movie, of course, it's Michael Myers coming home to pretty much check out what's been going on with his little sleepy town, if you will.
Yeah. But we'll get into some movie news, and with it being October, we need to talk about some kind of zombies.
Yeah.
So, The Night of the Living Dead turns 50 this year. 50 years of The Night of the Living Dead. Then the new X-Men movie. Have you seen the trailer for Dark Phoenix?
Dark Phoenix, yes.
It's with the First Class X-Men. Everybody who's in the Days of Future Past. This is their next installment of the movie. You got James McAvoy, of course, playing Professor X. Michael Fassbender, who I cannot get over. Michael Fassbender is just... If you have not seen any movie that he's in, check out a Michael Fassbender movie. He is playing Magneto as he was in First Class and Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. I completely enjoyed Apocalypse.
And then you've got Sophie Turner, who actually plays Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones, playing Jean Grey. And she's played her before in...
She was in Apocalypse.
Apocalypse, yeah. Pretty sure Apocalypse, yeah. But she definitely did pretty good. I think she was fantastic as, the younger Jean Grey.
I did enjoy Apocalypse very, very much so. To me, that even going back to X-Men 1 and 2 and X3, Apocalypse to me was one of the better X-Men films that I've seen in a while.
Logan was pretty good. I know it's not an X-Men film, but it is X-Men universe, definitely. Yeah, kind of, other than that, like the Deadpool, duo, I guess you could call it, has actually picked up a lot. And I think
speaking of Deadpool, anyway, Dark Phoenix, what we were talking about is it has been pushed back. I don't think it's going to be a
probably like
February release anymore.
Oh.
I think they are going to push it back, which could be signs
of
maybe a Marvel Cinematic Universe crossover.
Possibly, because I've heard works that they're buying out the X-Men
Fox
from Fox.
Yeah, Fox. Because Disney bought Fox.
Yeah.
So now technically, I think Marvel does own the rights now to all the X-Men.
Definitely.
So with it being pushed back, who knows what could happen with that?
Now we might even hear the word mutant in X-Men, for that matter, since they own the rights to that too. Or even with Spider-Man, even. I don't know. We'll see.
Right. Well, they use the word mutant in X-Men. They don't use it in Marvel movies.
Right. Just basically mainly because the Fox owned the rights even to that small little detail word.
And then Fox also has they have a new untitled Deadpool movie. I don't know if it's an animated Deadpool movie or if it's Deadpool 3, but it's got some kind of December release. I'm guessing a 2019 release.
Especially if it's like Ryan Reynolds and actual canon Deadpool movie.
I don't know if it's good or bad, but if it's a December 2019 release, I think Star Wars Episode 9 is a December next year release. I don't know if I'd want to go up against Star Wars during the month of December.
Yeah, that is a little, not worrying to me, but that is a little weird, but that is pretty rare.
And then Kathleen Kennedy has 3 more years towards Star Wars movies, so I don't know if she's going to be directing it anymore, or she'll be writing some scripts or some stories for Star Wars, but she has 3 more years on her Lucasfilm contract. And then some trailers that hit this week. Holmes and Watson trailer came out this week.
Oh my gosh.
And it looks like they're going to be best friends again.
Yeah, stepbrothers, yeah, definitely. John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell. Those guys are hilarious together, or apart, I should say, but together it's still funny because you want to actually see what they're gonna go with next.
Yeah.
Because Will Ferrell does with a lot of actors, or other actresses for that matter too.
Will Ferrell's been getting a bad rap lately about how he's the same character in every movie, but I enjoy his movies. I like his comedy. I'm not going into one of these movies expecting to see an Oscar buzz out of Will Ferrell. So if you can't just go to one of his movies and have fun and laugh, stop bitching about it.
But then again, critics are critics. So you'll always hear something negative because, hey, good or bad is always something.
And then the Rocket Man trailer got released this week. It's the musical about Sir Elton John.
Oh,
so
there you go. I was thinking that for a second, but I didn't fully know. So that'll be cool.
Looks pretty good. Other than that, I think the big news is Venom and
Definitely.
Halloween. You got Venom coming out this weekend, and next weekend I believe is I believe it's Halloween or it's the week after that.
Week after. Because I think next weekend Goosebumps 2 comes out.
Right.
Which that one would be, I thought one was pretty good. So
I did enjoy the first one.
Do not mind at all.
No. Now we are here at a segment that we like to call not one, not two, not even three, but our top five. Our top five is in this week, and we had a tough time picking it this week with all the things we're covering. Halloween, John Carpenter,
Jamie Lee Curtis.
So we're going to go ahead and rank our... we're going to do our top five Halloween performances as far as worst to best. I don't know if you want to do this as a whole, or...
I can go ahead and do my own one on that one.
Okay, so as we dig into the top five, we're going to cover our top five Halloween movies, going from fifth, from what I think is fifth worst, to the best. You want to go for yours?
Yeah, I can go ahead and go first. I've got to go ahead and go with Halloween 78, the original.
So are you going from best to worst, or worst to best?
This is my number 1 to number 5. The one I think was the best out of the series as of today. Before we see Halloween 2018, whatever you want to call it. I think Halloween 1, the original, Halloween 2, the sequel, I thought that one was pretty good. I liked how it tied Laurie into the Myers family and actually showed, oh, she's related. Okay. I liked H2O. Thought that was pretty cool to see Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, as a teacher trying to protect her son. And I mean, then you've got Josh Hartnett in that, LL Cool J, a couple other decently known people now, kind of coming up with that. And then, at the end, she beheads him, which is kind of like, whoa, they went for the gusto right there. Number 4, I kind of have to pay a little bit of respect to Rob Zombie's Halloween, the first one. I mean, okay, with that series, with those duos, I think it was a little over the top. But I think the first one was kind of cool to see what he thought, at least portrayed Michael to go into a psycho rage and why he wouldn't talk, why he didn't do much except for, walk menacingly with a mask on to kill his family and whoever he came across that tried to get in his way. And then my fifth one, and I'm not necessarily saying this one is the worst, but it's the one I think ranks 5 out of what I'm talking about. I've got to say it's The Return of Michael Myers. I just kind of enjoyed that one. I thought it was nice to kind of not fully get away from Laurie Strode or whatever have you, but kind of turn the picture to a different part of the family, if you will.
No, it's definitely a good one. Like, it's not terrible. It's not one of the worst ones out there.
Definitely not.
I enjoyed it just because it goes back to the origin of Halloween, which is Michael Myers, which actually ties into my... I'm going to rank them different. I'm going from my worst to my best.
Right.
So, actually, I'm not saying this one... I'm right there with you. I'm not saying this one is 5th because it's bad. I'm just saying, hey, it's in my top 5.
Right.
It could be Resurrection and not nowhere near my top 5.
Right.
But I'm going to go ahead and rank Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch, is 5th best for me. Just because it's different. Good. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the darkness of bringing in a different story and bringing in different characters and actually paying homage to the original Halloween, which having a TV commercial in Season of the Witch. And we touched bases on this earlier. We'll probably get into a little bit more. If not, then we'll get into it now. But what John Carpenter was thinking with the Halloween series was you got 1 and 2 with Michael Myers.
Right.
Season of the Witch was going to be 3. And then every one after that could be a different Halloween story.
Right.
And some movies have actually done this now. I think we talked about earlier, The Purge is kind of doing that with there's different Purge movies, but
Same
everyone
concept, but
different story about the Purge. All Hallows Eve does that, and the director had even talked about this before, that if they would have just called it Season of the Witch, it would have lived up to probably be one of the better horror movies of the time being, and probably wouldn't get such a bad rap that it does nowadays. But when you talk to Halloween experts or people who just love the franchise so much, they kind of throw that one away. I'm the opposite. I enjoy it. I think it should belong there with the other Halloweens.
I thought it was actually kind of cool because the old Irish guy that's the head of the company and all that, I'm pretty sure is the same one that is in a Disney movie called Luck of the Irish as the grandfather. Pretty sure it's the same guy.
That's pretty funny.
I may be wrong, so don't quote me, but I think it's the same guy.
We'll have to do our homework and get back to you on that one. And then number 4 I have is The Curse of Michael Myers, which is technically the 6th one. To me, that one just brings a back origin story of Michael Myers, something that we didn't really hear in the first 5.
Right, and that's Paul Rudd, right?
That's Paul Rudd. Yeah. That is also the last time we see the Dr. Loomis in any of the Halloween movies.
Yeah, because he passed away.
He passed away shortly after that movie came out.
Actually, I think he passed away after it wrapped. I think he passed away before it came out, but after it wrapped.
Because at the end of the movie, in the credits, they do have In Loving Memory of Donald Pleasance.
Yes.
And in the beginning of that, I mean, spoiler alert here, he does finally get to Jamie Lloyd, which is the niece that he was chasing in 4 and 5. He finally gets to her and kills her in the beginning of that movie. Plus, The Curse of Michael Myers, to me, is it's darker than some of the other ones were.
Right. But, I mean,
And then number 3 for me as well is Halloween H2O. If they never made Resurrection, or if they were never going to try to make this 2018 Halloween, to me, H2O would have been the perfect way to end the story.
Oh, definitely, because I mean, even Jamie Lee Curtis herself, I've heard in interviews, was thinking that was it. She was thinking, okay, we're just gonna kill her off. You know, we're gonna kill him off, kill her off, and no, they killed her off in Resurrection. I'm sorry, but she, decapitated him in H2O and thought he's dead. He's gone.
Yeah, that would have been the perfect way to end it.
Like, that's how you kill Michael Myers. Got to take his whole head off.
Yeah. And then to me, it would be the same. My final 2 going out would be Halloween 2. Is just the perfect sequel to that original 1978 movie.
Kind of more of a follow-up than the sequel, because it starts right where 1 ends, literally. I
kind of hate how movies do that sometimes, especially when you know, hey, we didn't film it right after we did this one, and we waited 2 years and then filmed it, because the characters obviously look different.
Older, different.
And then, obviously, number 1 being the original Halloween. It doesn't get any more better than that.
No, because, I mean, you've got just the simplicity, because, I mean, working with as low of a budget, and, fresh actors, fresh director. I mean, he's not raw, but he's a fresher director, done only a couple good things.
Because I think the only thing he really did before that big time was Assault on Precinct 13.
Right.
And then he didn't do much after that, and then he did Halloween, and then he started throwing stuff out there like They Live, The Thing, so on and so on.
Right, and I mean, Halloween opened doors for the guy. It really did. Not saying without that,
everybody involved, except for Donald Pleasance. I mean, he was. The budget says $320,000.
Right.
And I think the $20,000, like you said, went to him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the $300,000 budget was strictly for the movie, and $20,000 of it went to Donald Pleasance just for 5 days of filming, is what I heard.
Which actually, what's funny is just, for 1, paying an actor that low, for 2, a movie like that is now, and granted that even back then, even like 8 months, 9 months after, it still didn't get much attention. But granted, today, that movie probably would have been thrown out, like not even shown in theater. It was a straight to DVD movie. I mean, honestly,
a movie with that low of budget. Yeah,
maybe.
But you know what? There's still movies out there today that are being produced that go straight to DVD and Blu-ray that I still find pretty entertaining.
And some of it's weird because they just think, oh, it's not going to get much whatever after they see the final product. But then, I mean, hey, critics are wrong. Sometimes critics are right. Simple as that.
And we talked about it a little bit last week when you went and saw The Nun.
Right.
And you were talking about how you kind of went in thinking, you overhyped it for yourself.
Yeah.
We have this rule that we should probably develop here. Every time you go in and see a movie, whether you see it for the first time at home or you go into the theater, we're just going to close the mind, pretend nothing else happened and just go in there and watch a fresh movie.
Standalone film, basically.
And I think from now on, if you do that, you'll like a good 70% of what you watch.
Because I mean, honestly, The Nun has been getting trashed. I mean, it had a good opening week, and then after that, just trash.
Right. I mean, yeah, we talked about that last week as well. How horror sells. You can, slap a fucking stick on it. You can call it whatever you want. Horror sells. You can, it's done. It's a finished product. You can have a 90-minute movie. Call it The Nun. Nobody knows what the fuck it's about, and it's going to make money.
Or even riding on the coattails of which it did, The Conjuring,
even the
Conjuring.
Even one of the worst, I put this in parentheses, one of the worst rated movies last year was The Bye-Bye Man.
And that wasn't bad.
I enjoyed The Bye-Bye Man.
I didn't mind that. That was not bad.
Exactly. I didn't think it was trash. I have seen much worse. Was it the best? No, it wasn't the best. But 2 years ago, my bad. But it was, to me, one of the better movies that I had seen in a decent while. I mean, it had a little bit of new school to me. It had a little bit of old school. And it was good for what it was. And I'm not going to sit there and completely trash that movie, but
the ending. The ending, when the daughter looked at the cabinet or the nightstand, what it was, when she looked at the nightstand and it said something on the bottom of it, and I was like, oh God, not again. I was like, this thing's going to continue, and he was like, well, what was it? And she was like, I don't know, I can't read. I was like, oh, thank God, don't have to go. It didn't
have your original good guy ending.
No, not at all, because it kind of was like a. I mean, this is one of my favorite films, but Donnie Darko, kind of the beautiful tragedy. The, main character dies at the end, kind of to save everybody else so he or she couldn't, Oh, yeah, sorry, spoiler. So he or she couldn't spread the infection, if you will.
But that goes to show you right there. Even The Bye-Bye Man had a huge opening weekend.
Right.
Horror sells these days. It doesn't matter what it is, what it's about. You could, like we said earlier, you can call it The Nun, and it could have been about how Ezekiel Elliott eats his way through the Detroit Lions defense. Doesn't matter what it is. It's going to make money. That's a horror story in itself. It is. Cowboys won, by the way, this past weekend. Anyway, going back to the Halloween subject. Horror today sells. I think the independent movie that was made back in the day completely blew everybody away. Even Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance said that it didn't make money the first week or two, or even the first month.
Yeah. Actually, because if I'm not mistaken, they said it had 2 reels that it actually had, and they were kind of passed around the nation. And I think once it gone into Kansas, it started kind of growing, and that's where it rooted, and then it started to get out there, and word of mouth travels fast. Heard it through the grapevine.
Nothing to do in Kansas. Kansas is. Anyway, we love all of our fans in Kansas. If there's any downloads in Kansas, thank you everybody who has downloaded the show. Get a little off subject right quick, but we just want to say thank you.
Send a little shout out to everybody.
We
Definitely.
have more followers on Podbean, more downloads. This show is growing rapidly. If you weren't with us for Psycho, but you're with us now for Halloween, we thank you. If you've been with us for these past 5 weeks, I can't believe it's been 5 weeks already.
Yeah.
This has been a dream come true for me. Not only do I get to watch the movies I enjoy, I get to watch them with my cousin.
Yep.
I enjoy the broski relationship that has followed and has gotten stronger with this podcast. These movies are stuff that we have always enjoyed. Stuff that we're going to cover stuff that eventually we've never seen.
It is going to be a little weird to step out of the horror genre once we get past October, though. And I'm not going to say it's weird as in I think we'll suck. I think it's just going to be weird since we opened up with one of the genres that me and you have been kind of bonded over for however long. I truly don't remember. I know at least 20 years. But
and I have people, I've had emails and I've had comments and messages asking me, what kind of horror movies are we going to cover after October, because we stated last week what we're ending with, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We might come across 1 or 2 maybe between, maybe even 5 between now and next year, but other than that, we're done with horror movies.
So I mean, I think Krampus might be one maybe to visit, and we'll think about that. But definitely, like, I'd like to put the Santa Claus in. That would be kind of a nice one. The original, the first one, because I thought the second and third one were all right, but the first one definitely. I don't know. I've heard talks about Toy Story coming up, so maybe throw in one of those. You know, I mean, everybody likes to get toys.
Toy Story is so short, though. Those are about an hour and 20 minutes. We might be able to do a full episode on all three Toy Story movies.
Possibly. You know, even just skimming over all three of them.
There's been talks, we've had talks about November being dedicated to superheroes, how we might do some DC movies with Aquaman coming out. I know we might cover the first Fantastic Beasts movie, since the second one's coming out.
Because, I mean, I'm a huge fan of that, and I mean, you know, to have a movie, you know, coming from the Harry Potter and how I've read the books, watched all the movies, and dug into some of the lore and all that, I mean, I haven't been as heavy as some out there that I do know, but, you know, having Newt Scamander as, you know, a character now, and I know the next Fantastic Beasts has been getting a lot of criticism for a character coming out, possible character coming out, and I think it's very weird, and even J.K. Rowling herself has had to put out interviews and YouTube videos coming out against and for the movie against criticism, stating that this is why and this is how and this is what it's for.
See, I'm not a fan of directors or writers coming out and having to give explanations before the movie's even out. You guys are the fans. You guys are going to pay the tickets to go see this movie. Shut the fuck up. Go see the movie. Be a fan, because you complained so long from the end of the last Harry Potter movie to Fantastic Beasts that you wanted some kind of magic in your life.
She's even stated that she's going to do either 3 or 4 more stories, and it might be Fantastic Beasts, it might be the Peveril Brothers, as I know you Harry Potter fans understand what that is and what that links to and how that links to everything. So, going off from that, I mean, you know, excited, but getting to the beef.
We'll definitely cover some horror movies between now and next season.
I mean, I think we've already cut into our little potato meal, so, you know, get the salad and the potato out. We need to go ahead and slice that beef, you know, slice into that nice sirloin steak.
Yeah, we're getting ready to dig right into that roast beef, as you will. I mean, so as far as November coming up, that's what we're probably going to be touching on, is the wonderful world of wizardry and DC comic book movies.
Definitely.
But for now, covering Halloween, the original movie was filmed in 4 weeks. It had
which is crazy.
An October release of 1978.
One thing I've actually noticed is that a lot of these movies we've covered have had very tight schedules, and all of them have been huge. They've all been huge, but they haven't started huge. They've all been kind of trashed and looked down upon and all that, about, you know, how cheap it's been made, how, you know, a couple actors have known, but not really known actors and directors and all that, or changing from like what Alfred Hitchcock did with Psycho, changing from, you know, his previous films, going into a bit of horror. And, you know, I mean, here we are 58 years later and talking about this stuff, and it's huge. I mean, it's cited as one of the best, if not it's one of the creations.
You know, it's funny. It's funny that you say that, because Psycho was like that. The Shining, with still a bigger budget, was still like that.
But yeah, it's still
Killer Clowns was definitely like that. Halloween's like that. And now next week it doesn't change for us either way, because A Nightmare on Elm Street is the same way.
Definitely. I mean, Wes Craven.
But our last 2 horror movies is going to change, because Scream 1996 had a huge budget, and Halloween 2018 is huge.
Definitely.
So, by the way, though, a little small tidbit: as we are filming this Monday, October the 1st, Tinseltown tonight, Halloween is showing in Tinseltown tonight at 7:30, and the Regal Spotlight Cinema in Norman. So Halloween still being shown in theaters.
Oh yeah, still pretty cool. You know, and it's not on 2 reels anymore. It's known and understood.
Oh
and
no, it's
respected.
definitely digitally remastered. The sound could not be any better. They have completely cleaned up this movie. We talked about it earlier, about the 4K copy. It is definitely standing the test of time.
Oh yeah.
It looks beautiful. Go check it out. Blu-ray, DVD. Definitely check this movie out. Actually, this movie is not available on digital is, for some reason, there's some copyright laws and Universal and Lionsgate does not own the digital copy of Halloween. So I think the only way you can watch the original 1978 Halloween, you got to go out there, you got to go to a vintage stock or a family video, and you got to rent it. Or if you want to buy it, I just got the 4K copy for $14.99 at Walmart, and that comes with the original Blu-ray copy and the 4K copy. So it's not out there on digital. Anyway, we're going to get into some of our favorite scenes of the movie. Obviously, the movie opens up with baby Michael, 6 years old, I believe, picks up a really big butcher knife and just hacks the fuck out of his sister. After she made love upstairs in her bedroom, she turns around after combing her hair and just gets fucked by the knife. Michael Myers just gives it to her, all 8 inches of that steel.
Yeah, he just slices into her pretty well.
And you find it interesting, what you told me earlier, that the hand of baby Michael is
Deborah Hill, the co-writer, co-producer.
I'm going to call him Baby Michael for the rest of the show. I think it's everybody loves Baby Michael.
Hey, no, it's actually Deborah Hill with the stabbing motions. And it was odd for him to check his form in mid-stab. But,
everybody likes to look at themselves while they're, going in deep.
An artist has to check himself or herself, simple as that, and what he or she is portraying and painting onto his canvas or her canvas.
Leading in after to the episode, you see Michael's parents take off the mask, and they're like, Michael, what the fuck? Kill somebody. Anyway, they... Obviously, you know what happens. He gets thrown into the sanitarium.
The loony bin.
Dr. Sam Loomis. He meets Samuel Loomis, which is played by the legendary Donald Pleasance. The next scene, obviously, you see him and the nurse. They are getting ready to go get Michael and take him to a maximum security place.
Transfer him to where I think he should have been in the beginning. Don't get me wrong, 6-year-old could be handled and all that, but... Even in some...
But now they pick him up, and I think he was supposed to be 17 years old, right?
No, it was 15 later. It's 15 years later, so he probably would be about 21. 23, okay. Somewhere in that little area.
So they're going to pick him up, and they stumble across a herd of retards. A herd of mental patients. And Michael has let them out, and they're just roaming like a bunch of cows.
God damn it. I heard of retards. What the fuck?
So Michael lets them out, and first off, he gets into the car, does his little scare tactics, and he just takes off. He Grand Theft Autos the shit out of there. And
which to me shows the intelligence of Michael, because don't get me wrong, Donald Pleasant's supposed to be a psychiatrist and a psychologist for that matter.
He even complains about how he was doing very well driving the night before. So
right. So don't get me wrong, right there just shows you that Michael's not stupid. He's not just a one-track I want to kill kind of person. He's a man with a plan. In other words,
which we didn't get a lot of info on John Carpenter, how we did on Psycho. And how we did on all the other, Silence of the... we didn't cover Silence of the Lambs, but The Shining, how some of these psychotic players can be really, really smart. John Carpenter didn't, point that out in an interview or anything. He just pretty much, that shows you that all these psychotic guys are a lot smarter than you got to give them credit for.
Well, he put actions to actions and words to words. Words didn't really... Literally, Michael Myers has never spoken or uttered a word. In the book that was written after Halloween, the original Halloween, they said that he can actually talk, but that he just doesn't because he doesn't want to give any emotions off or anything like that. I guess that ties into part with the mask at least. But no, made a... I guess registered nurse and who are smart people. They know tons about the body. They know quite a bit, and then a psychologist who knows tons about the mind and who has been studying this guy. Like you said, uses the scare tactics, makes her get out of the car eventually, and he doesn't hurt either of them. He probably pulls her hair, and that would hurt, but it doesn't harm them to an extent, and just jets it. And like you said, in one scene, which Sam Loomis is kind of bashed on a lot of this film. Why'd you let him go? Why'd you let him do... He didn't let him go. He tried to make these people see that he needs to be in a maximum security penitentiary, and, you know, you're sending him to a mental hospital or whatever have you, and, you know, or a sanitarium like it's called, and it's minimum security.
Right.
I mean, come on. Maybe the kid, but once he turned like 13, 15 years old, I'd been like,
to maximum
bye.
security. Yeah.
But yeah, he's driving like a professional driver. Doesn't care. Whatever.
Going into the movie now, it's funny that the next you see would be the daylight, and you were introduced, even in the opening credits, it says introducing Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep.
Jamie Lee Curtis is famous for, she is the original Scream Queen. She is famous for the original Prom Night, which is an amazing film, by the way. If you haven't seen it, I would suggest you go check it out. She was in the Halloween, of course. She was in Halloween 2, Trading Places.
H2O.
She was in H2O. She was in True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan, which is kind of a more kid-friendly film, definitely. Family-friendly.
In plenty of other movies. She's also in the 2018 Halloween, which just comes out October 18th.
So, I mean, we've been looking forward to that. Of course, we've said that many times now. So
So now that she's, you know, she's known for Halloween, and her first scene in the movie, she is leaving her house, which is, she's a Strode, and she's going to go drop off the key at the Boogeyman's house. But one thing that catches your eye in the scenes leading up is, we're not going to go scene by scene. The show's already run along. We told you it'd be a long episode.
Yes.
But we're definitely not going to run scene by scene. But talking about her walking outside now, it was pretty cool to see that On Location was filmed obviously in Pasadena, California, and they made California look like they were in the Northwest, and they tried to make it look like it was fall. What's some of the tricks that you said that they did that?
Well, I mean, of course, California doesn't truly change seasons much to winter, fall, or spring to summer and all that good stuff. So what they're trying to set it in Haddonfield, Illinois, which of course Haddonfield is in New Jersey, where I think Deborah Hill grew up and all that.
Illinois doesn't have a Haddonfield, by the way.
Right. You know, search and all that. They even stated in the interviews and stuff, but they're trying to put it in Illinois, which is kind of like what we live in, you know, Oklahoma or Texas or Kansas, whatever it is, kind of like that. They used 3 trash bags full of painted leaves to make the look of fall, basically, that, you know, everything was dying off and the beautiful fall, autumn, whatever colors.
And you can check it out in the movie, whatever version you see. You can definitely see that some of the scenes that she's walking in, you see the leaves around her.
Right.
And then down the street, you'll see that there's absolutely no leaves.
Just clear panes of grass.
But with the budget that they had and the time that they had, I can't stress enough that the movie is phenomenal.
Definitely.
And what makes this movie so good is the score. The soundtrack is amazing. It is available on iTunes and Spotify. Search original Halloween motion picture score by John Carpenter. And everything about the soundtrack and the score to this movie makes the movie, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, okay, one thing that John Carpenter himself actually says in interviews and different things is that his dad was he had musical talent, so was actually introducing him to music when he was younger. And one thing that he actually trained him on when he was younger was a 5/4 bongo time. That is basically the kind of, you know, similar to that. And basically that literally inspired him and was like, what if I compose something around that? And he made it into more of a piano piece and made it, you know, I mean, obviously you can go and see and hear what it is. Just search up Halloween theme and there you go.
Yeah, it is definitely one of the more iconic horror themes, and actually the more iconic movie scores of all time.
Yeah. So
not just in the horror genre, but film in general. It's an amazing soundtrack to go check it out.
And it's decently simple too. It's not that he was just a fantastic, talented musician that did this extremely great score. It was an extremely great score, but it was simple. It's something, I mean, I could probably have played when I played the violin easily in school, easily, if I had looked up the music to it. I could probably play it now and relearn. Simple as that. But I mean, if you got a few instruments together, boom, as long as you have percussion or something like that, you're good to go.
We are covering, obviously, this. We're talking all things Halloween and the original Halloween. We will touch bases on, a lot of people were going to ask if we were ever going to do or talk about the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. And we'll touch bases right here and now about those. They're good for what they are, but it kind of goes back to talking about Season of the Witch. If it was just a horror movie about a big, dumb, redneck killing machine, I mean, it'd probably be a decent, gory horror movie. But putting Halloween on the title and the characters, calling somebody Laurie and Michael and Dr. Loomis, to me, it just wasn't, it didn't feel right.
It didn't have the simplicity. It was way overdone, way over... And I mean, I'm not trashing it at all.
No.
It's just comparing it to 78 Halloween. 78 Halloween was so simple and so realistic and all that. Now you've got a 6'10", like Undertaker, basically, roaming around with, you know, a 30-inch blade just slicing people in half practically, and he's Superman strength, but, you know, walks like a regular person. And
right.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say dumb, but just one thing on his mind, and that's it. It doesn't seem like he's got an extreme amount of intelligence like the actual simple Michael Myers does in the old, I guess you'd say, the original.
Yeah,
so, you know.
78's Halloween felt just organic in everything that they did and touched bases on. And I think even just looking at the trailer for the 2018 Halloween, even that feels organic. It
does, and I mean, you know, we're going to go ahead and do the Facebook Live video before and after, non-spoiler on both of those, just to, because we're going to do a very, very spoiler-heavy, and we let you know last week, and we're going to let you know this week again. It's going to be spoiler-heavy, the 4th episode of October, so the 2nd Halloween episode is going to be spoiler-heavy. So just get ready for that. But we're going to do the Facebook Live video before and after, reactions, thoughts. You know, was it good, was it bad? Oh, didn't expect a couple of different things. Did expect this. Thought, you know, a lot of cool Easter, whatever have you. Whatever it is.
Right, and everybody's asking me what theater we're going to go check it out in. Right now it looks like we're going to go see whatever's playing as earlier as we can. Right now it stands between either Harkins Theater in Bricktown or the Warren in Moore. Right. If anybody is listening to this and listens to the podcast and you either are affiliated with some way with Harkins or the Warren, help us help you. We both go to these theaters.
Definitely.
Whoever wants to shout us out, I'm waiting on some emails to get back to me. Share this. Tell somebody about it in upper management. We want to have a home theater that we will mention on the show every week, that we will mention where we go see movies at. It's between the two theaters, so whoever could email me back first,
let us know.
Message us at Movie Reels 405 on Facebook.
Definitely.
But getting back to, you know, Rob Zombie's Halloween, you know, it wasn't a cancer to the franchise like Resurrection was. I cannot get over Resurrection. It is the Myers mask looked terrible. It didn't look scary to me whatsoever.
Busta Rhymes' masks looked a little bit better than his.
Busta Rhymes was scarier looking than Michael Myers in the movie. At least his acting was. So either way, we reviewed the 4K copy. The 4K copy of this movie is amazing. It looks great. It sounds great. Go pick it up. It's at Walmart, $14.99. If you have the Halloween movies, it belongs with your collection. And then what's interesting more is John Carpenter's Halloween series idea.
Yeah.
And this goes back to everybody who's kind of unfamiliar with Season of the Witch.
It is kind of... Well, I mean, there's a couple different things. One is there was a fantasy booking kind of idea, rumor-ish type deal, that the clown mask, not in H1 Rob Zombie's Halloween, but in the original 78 Halloween, that was one of the early production mistakenly sent out masks of the Shamrock company that did the masks from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And instead of killing Michael, it was a messed up production mask that kind of made him insane and immortal, and apparently super strong. So, I mean, Michael looks maybe 5'10", 165, 170 pounds, kind of an average, regular, fly-by-night, guy, whatever, not intimidating until that mask goes on, and he is strong. He is very, very just intimidating as all get out. It's definitely a horrible night for you when you meet him in a dark alley.
That's a good. If I had a fantasy book episode, not episode 3, but if I had a fantasy book Halloween 3, that would be that actually makes most of the sense. But Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and John Carpenter, Deborah Hill's Eyes, and all that bunch did not have anything to do with Michael Myers. It was a solely different series. They were going to come out with a Halloween movie every year, and every year it'd be a different story, which then that story could have its own spinoff if they had chosen. But we all know what happened there. It bombed at the box office, and Halloween 4 went back to Michael Myers. But looking back at the original Halloween, you have not that many kills.
Not really, no. I mean, maybe 5, 6 total tops.
It wasn't very gory. It wasn't very bloody.
I don't think there was blood at all, except for, just drawn on blood or painted on blood, and that was it.
Blood on the knife.
Right.
It wasn't so. Other than that, it wasn't very bloody. It wasn't very gory.
Well, sometimes that's actually what the horror films of today miss on, is that they make it too bloody, too gory, too out there in your face.
It's almost like a torture porn movie.
Well, kind of, yeah. To where, in the psychology standards, what you don't see is what your mind is scared of, because
you want to overthink it.
Right. I mean, if you're running into him in bright lights in the middle of the day, you're, okay, I can get away from him and I know where to go and all that. But if it's in pitch black, and actually I asked an uncle of mine who was in the military, and I asked him what he wanted to fight in, as in a firefight, day or night, and he said night. And I said, okay, well, why is that? And he said, I can see you, you can't see me. And that's the thing, your mind doesn't know what's going on in the dark. You're afraid. I mean, it's like, if you were to go down into the depths of the ocean, sharks dwell there. You're going to be afraid of those sharks simply because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where it's at. So, I mean, yeah, psychology plays a huge role, and I feel like the ones today miss that mark in letting you figure it out in your head. What's going on to this character? What's happened? Why? Oh my God!
Most of these movies, people overthink it when you should just sit back and enjoy it.
Exactly. That too, and because the consumer wants more.
And really, simple. It's not even on the horror genre in itself. It's like that with any movie.
Yeah.
If you just sit back and give what they, take what they give you, you're either A, just gonna fall in love with it, or B, you'll be like, it wasn't what I wanted it to be, but I still enjoyed it.
Right.
Like with Jurassic World earlier. Mm-hmm. I didn't completely shit on it. I don't think it's a terrible movie.
Right.
Did I enjoy it? I enjoyed it, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Right, and I mean, don't get me wrong, that's,
I'm not gonna go to my mom's basement and write a fucking letter, and I am no longer going to spend money watching Jurassic Park movies. No, that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm still going to go support these movies. I'm still going to enjoy them. But I'm not going to sit there and write a 3-page essay on to Universal why I hated Jurassic World.
Right. But, yeah, I mean, that's the missed mark. To where this film does it perfectly, it doesn't show you some of his kills beforehand. It doesn't show you It
doesn't show you all the kills.
That, and then it also doesn't show you why Michael is like he is. It just shows you, he was a killer, he killed his sister.
You don't need a backstory on every single thing that you come across.
Right, but I mean, that's the entail, like, why is he crazy? It's, it's part of the character that makes you realize, crap, this guy don't care about anything. Right. He's just a killer. He wants to kill, that's all it is. Bloodlust, basically.
Going back now that we've touched bases on some of the movie, some of these have some, like, this movie has some iconic scenes. We've already talked about the iconic character in Michael Myers. We've talked about the iconic score, which is amazing. So what would be, if you had to name 3 favorite scenes in this whole movie, we both love Halloween, we both enjoy this movie. If you had to name 3 scenes, what would be your favorite scene? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, for me, my top 3 scenes in this movie would be, the first scene for me would be where Laurie gets stunned by the cop, or by Sheriff Brackett. She gets startled by Sheriff Brackett. To me, I don't know why, but that's just an iconic scene for me. A little spook, and he's like, hey, it's that time of the year.
Everybody's entitled to one.
Right,
yeah.
Which, that's kind of iconic for me. I don't know why. My second favorite episode, or scene in the movie, is where Donald Pleasance, Sam Loomis, is talking to Sheriff Brackett up in the Myers house.
Okay.
About how he met him at age 6, and he had the darkest eyes, the devil's eyes, and to me that was just chilling. I like that scene. And then 2 scenes that involve Michael. And then my third scene, which is probably my favorite scene of all, is the iconic scene where he is breaking into the closet.
Oh yeah.
And Laurie is sitting down in the corner of the closet, and he just breaks in. He looks at her. To me, if that were to happen in real life, I would just give up and I would fucking kill me right now, because that shit is scary. Yeah. I would be traumatized, and I don't think I could ever not stop having nightmares about that.
Even if you didn't have that, the death, basically, claustrophobia would be huge in your mind anymore, because you feel that presence and that looming sense of fear that you are possibly going to die.
Right. So, to me, those are my favorite 3 scenes. If you had to kind of be the same way, what would be your 3 favorite?
I would say simply, one we touched on, the car scene, when he terrorizes the nurse, when he gets Donald Pleasance, the Dr. Loomis, Samuel Loomis, whichever, out of the car, terrorizes the nurse, gets the car, books it to Haddonfield, and goes from there. I would say that's probably number 3 for me. Number 2, I would say probably the whole confrontation, as in, the whole fight between him and Laurie Strode, or Jamie Lee Curtis, throughout the house. I would say that's pretty cool, just because of, her trying to protect herself and the kids, and going from there. My top favorite one, I would probably have to say Bob's death, when he sticks him upon the, I think it was a pantry or closet door, one of the 2, in the kitchen. And then he stands back, cocks his head to one side, cocks it to the other, and is basically admiring his own work. Kind of like an artist.
Yeah, that was
Michael,
a good scene.
I know I'm painting him as an artist. Hey, painting, whatever. I know I'm painting him as an artist.
If you can paint a fucking Subway co-worker as an artist, you can paint Michael Myers as an artist.
Exactly, but, he's admiring his own work. This is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I am, and he's portraying it. And don't get me wrong, he is speaking through actions. He doesn't need to use words. He has pictures, motives, and he has simply his actions. That's why he speaks, or how he speaks.
That's a good point.
And I like that scene simply because of that. It shows you the intellect and the mind and the simply just what Michael is. Simple as that.
We're gonna go off of cut into a small detailed footage here, and then we're going to mention Halloween 2. Just because what I'm about to mention here ties into Halloween 2. And that's the TV version footage of Halloween.
Right.
Back in the day, these movies would come out. I don't think VHS wasn't a very big hit right off the bat in the late 70s. So about a year or 2 after the movie would come out, these movies would be released on TV, like whether it be TNT, your Friday night TNT movie, or your TBS movie, or whether it be on the USA Network or local TV. I can't remember if it was local TV or like a TNT presentation.
National broadcast,
right? But anyway, what I'm trying to get to is that these movies would come out and add an additional 20 minutes just to get you to tune into the channel and watch the movie. Like, hey, this is what you couldn't see in theaters. Tune in Friday night on National Broadcast Channel, and you can watch it then. But they added an additional 10 minutes onto Halloween and all three was shot well after the movie was released.
Right.
So the first scene that we see is...
Oh, a psychology scene. Well, the sentencing scene is what I should actually say. It's not a psychology scene. To where they actually, and John Carpenter says he had no idea of this, release a middle name for Michael Myers, and it is Audrey. So it is Michael Audrey Myers.
That's probably why he went psycho and killed his sister. If that was my middle name, I would fucking stab people.
But, yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting. So, there's that one. There's a couple of them, actually.
And then there's Lori. Lori's upstairs talking to... Actually, I think it just has her laying in the bed, and then she comes downstairs to her front living room, which in the original movie, you only see her upstairs room.
Right.
But in this made-for-TV version footage, you see her living room, and she goes downstairs and lets Linda in.
Yes.
And they kind of gossip a little bit, and Jamie Lee Curtis is wearing nothing but a towel, and they talk to Sheriff Brackett's daughter on the phone. But they're pretty much like deleted scenes in this made-for-TV version. You can actually pick up the made-for-TV version is on DVD with these scenes in the actual movie. So you can actually pick it up. They haven't added it to either one of the Blu-ray copies or the 4K copy, but you can find it out there. It's very rare and very hard to find. I think the entire time I worked at FYE and dealt with movies, I've only seen it once or twice. But it is out there on DVD. It's not cheap either. I think it goes for like $39.99 because it is out of print and that's used.
Okay. One thing actually I thought was really interesting about the film was that there were actually either 5 or 6 people that played Michael or The Shape. Nick Castle, Deborah Hill, Tommy Lee Wallace. Nick Castle is the famous one for playing The Shape, if you will.
And it's funny that you say Tommy Wallace because he actually directed Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Right, which is kind of funny. I forget his name, but the one who actually is the face of
when they
Michael
took the
Myers,
mask off at the end.
Which he actually got $200 or $250 for that one scene, basically a half day worth of work. So pretty much, I mean, that's not bad in today's standards, let alone back then standards, 40 years ago, literally. And then
to the year,
Deborah Hill actually played 2 parts of Michael Myers. The stabbing, like I said earlier, checking his form, basically. And when you see Tommy look out the window and say, the boogeyman's standing over there, that's actually Deborah Hill. And the reason why it was her is because they couldn't find Nick Castle or Tommy Lee Wallace.
They were probably all drinking.
Possibly, or, just might have been sick or the day off or whatever it was. But, yeah, it was actually Deborah Hill standing there. And the reason and she actually said it was her, too. And she said it was funny because she's so much shorter than the other guys. I think she's like 5'4" or 5'2" or something like that. So to go from 5'11", 5'10" to 5'2" or 5'4" was kind of funny, and just to see her size compared to the house was a little funny too. But then you've got the props designer, and the reason he played Michael was, and actually the scene in the closet where he's going after Jamie Lee Curtis is him. And the reason he played Michael in that particular instance is because he knew exactly where to hit and make the props break. So it was done one take and just fast as can. Didn't have to go over much. And I mean, in this movie, it's simplicity. But on top of that, it was a lot of people with a big heart, because literally, even Jamie Lee Curtis herself states that her, PJ Souls, everybody of the cast literally raked the leaves up and put them in the trash bags to transport them from each scene. Everybody wore their own clothes, for that matter. Their own clothes. So, I mean, the wardrobe designer didn't have a hard time anyways. Everybody did a huge part. It wasn't just, oh, you're an actress, you're an actor, you're the director. Everybody pitched in everywhere so that the movie could be as quick as in
like a one night stand, get in, get out, get paid.
Exactly. And I mean, so it was as easy as can be.
Right.
So
yeah.
it was
when you only got 28 days or 4 weeks to film, gotta go in and get out as fast as you can.
Exactly.
But this also goes back to, you know, and for those of you that follow Halloween on Blu-ray and have noticed how many different versions there are of not only the first one but all the way to H2O, and if you've noticed that when you finally were able to get the collection in one Blu-ray box set, it still kind of looked hokey. It still kind of looked off. It looked generic. Unlike the Friday the 13th one, you got a big, nice collection. Freddy kind of had a decent collection. Both Halloween, if you've noticed, the collections you can find out there, they look generic, and I think they are, just because for every single movie was owned by almost a different company.
Right.
And this goes back to how Mustafa Akkad how did he come into play with Halloween, with, all the other ones, with this new one. And pretty much it came down to that he financed the first film.
Yeah, definitely.
And now that happened, just in that one stint, he is involved in every single movie. He and his daughter obviously died, but that name and that company and his son is pretty much
hands in still.
Hands
on, I should say, yeah.
Into each movie. And just like if somebody out there is listening and they can maybe kind of tell me why there isn't a digital copy of this movie, who originally owned the digital copy of this movie, and why the Halloween series is kind of, it doesn't have the proper Blu-ray home video release like I think it should. If we can come to an agreement, or if somebody can out there find, maybe I might find the answer before this episode shows. If anybody can find that and kind of message me, find me on Facebook, message us at Podbean, or Facebook search Movie Reels 405. I really want to know why this series is the way it is when it comes to home release, because I feel like it just hasn't gotten the respect or the big release like I feel like it should.
Right.
And right now, I mean, it kind of came into what we talked about earlier about our favorite scenes, but in your one thing in this whole movie, if you could pick just one scene, it might be the scene that you told me about earlier, what would be your best kill in the movie?
Definitely the Bob kill, the boyfriend kill, if you will. Just like I said, basically the actions he does, how he portrays himself, how he admires his work, simple as that. I mean, I know that head tilt is actually going to be an iconic kind of Easter egg in this new one. There's been actual interviews with Nick Castle himself, the Shape himself, stating that he gets a cameo as Michael in this movie. And he's doing two major things. He's doing the head tilt. I don't know if it's going to be when he initially meets him, or meets Jamie again, or Laurie Strode. I don't know if it's going to be what, but whenever you see the head tilt, it's going to be Nick Castle, as well as the mask breathing, as what Halloween is kind of famous for. That is Nick Castle as well, because I'm sorry, but if it's not the original, then
it's interesting that they're bringing the breathing back for this movie,
which is kind of, I thought,
it's kind of
cool because I mean that kind of gave you the presence of what they were wanting, and that is we are Michael's POV basically. So for them to kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, bringing back the ambience, bringing back the aesthetic, I guess, pleasing aesthetic with it, is really nice, really cool, and it's a great ode to the original. It's a great film. It's a great ode to the original. Simple as that. I think that's an awesome thing.
That's pretty cool. If I had to pick one scene, to me, like, my favorite kill would probably be when he gets one of the babysitters, Sheriff Braggett's daughter, in the car.
Oh.
It just feels organic and it feels real, and he's sitting there just struggling, trying to choke her to death, and she giving him a little bit of a hard time, so he just gets the knife out and just slits her goddamn throat.
Well, I mean, one thing, okay, I want to touch on that actually. One thing that we were discussing while we were watching is that when she came up to the car originally, the door was locked. And it was like, oh, okay, well, I forgot my keys, got to go back and get my keys. I mean, that's happened. Simple as that. You forgot your keys inside, door's locked, can't get in, simple as that. Well, when she came back, the car was unlocked, and she didn't think a second thought of it. If my truck is unlocked, I'm going, and I knew it was locked, and I knew for a fact it was locked.
But see,
I'm going,
what did she have on her
me?
mind?
Yeah, she
had the rod. She had, it rhymes with rock.
She had a little bit of the D in her mind.
She had that on her mind.
So.
And I find it funny that John Carpenter didn't point out that Laurie Strode's the only one that survived, and she was the virgin in the movie, and they didn't think about it supposedly until after the movie was released. But all the ones who had the D on the mind are the ones that got the they got the big D. They got the knife. So I find it funny that, you know, Laurie was headstrong. She was smart,
and
wasn't worried about just one thing, and she survived in the movie. Which brings us to Jamie Lee Curtis. You know, what is she going to be known for? And this is a part 1 of part 2 series. We'll finish it up in the Halloween 2018 episode. You know, we know what she's known for in this movie. She's known for the headstrong survivor in Halloween. But career-wise, after Halloween 2018, you know, what is she going to be known for? You know, is she going to be known for finally showing her goodies after she got the big bucks in Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd? Is she going to be known for an original Scream Queen? And, you know, she's in Halloween 1, 2, Prom Queen, H2O, Resurrection, and Halloween 2018. So, Jamie Lee Curtis, to me, you know, what we talked about it off air earlier, who is the more iconic character, Michael or Jamie? And you stated, you know, Michael, that you don't think of Halloween unless it's Michael Myers, and you don't think of Michael Myers unless it's Halloween. I kind of, you know, I didn't argue, but I stated, you know, well, I said it could be the same for Jamie. To me, I don't think of anything but Halloween when I see Jamie Lee Curtis. Whether I see her in Freaky Friday, Trading Places, True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think of Halloween when I see Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, most definitely. And I mean, I'm not arguing on that fact. Simple as that. Because I mean, if you can't associate the two with each other, it's not easy. Because it's just, you know, that's why she's in at least 50-60% of every film, literally. But
it's almost like that you have to have a good versus an evil.
Yeah, definitely. And she is that yin to that yang. I mean, you know, simple as that. But it's just whenever I think Halloween the movie, especially, or even the time, like I've had a Michael Myers mask that was taken from me by unfortunate events, but tornado that took some of my stuff years ago. But either way, you know, it was taken from me, and so with me, I put that mask, and I see the mask, and I think the mask whenever it's Halloween season, because for one, that's one of my favorite creatures, characters, killers, whatever you will, on screen of all time. Just simple as that. And you know, it's just the fact of that guy is such a creepy, badass villain that it just is hard to imagine each without the other.
So it's.
But yeah, definitely, like when you mention Jamie Lee Curtis, I think of either Friday or when you mention Jamie Lee Curtis, I think of Halloween. Just, I mean, it's not that hard.
It's interesting to see how they're going to do both characters in 2018. We're not going to, you know, jump into any conclusions, or, you know, we won't do any fantasy booking just yet. We're going to talk about all that in that one episode, because we talk about it now. It may not be a big episode. So we're definitely going to leave some of that for.
I do want to ask one thing, because I already have my thoughts on it. And I want to ask this question to you. And I haven't pre-prepared you for any of it. So I want to ask, raw, unnatural, going in strong, do you think both of them are going to die? Do you think Jamie's going to die? Do you think Michael's going to die? What do you think? Because I think both are going to die.
To me, I have a feeling that they have to leave somewhat of it open.
Okay.
Because it's all about money at the end of the day, and I think that this movie is going to gross a shit ton of money.
Definitely.
And I think it's going to be huge at the box office. So, I mean, whether it be they might, you know, throw the swerve and they both die and one of her granddaughter might go psycho and kill somebody.
True.
They might do like a Halloween 4. At the end of Halloween 4, you see Jamie
put on the mask,
stab somebody.
Yeah.
So they might throw the swerve and do that. I don't think both die. I think one or the other dies. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he survives and she dies.
Oh no, not at all. Because I mean, you've got the character that can be played by multiple entities.
But then you got to look at it like, I hope the timeline is not fucked up. By what I mean is, they sell 40 years later. She obviously has aged 40 years from him. Say he was 21 in 1978. That would make him how old right now?
About 61, 62, somewhere around there.
So, I mean, if the timeline is messed up, or if he is still this, rage of immortalization, how can you drag on a 60-year-old man to keep killing people?
Which, I mean,
as long as it ends smart, I don't care who dies, who survives. They could both die, but as long as it's done right, I will be satisfied.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong, like you do have to take the age into consideration, because I mean, 61, you are entering into an older person, I will say at that.
He'll be
but,
Grandpa
I mean,
Michael.
Basically, yeah. Great uncle, if you will. If they are related, because it has not been stated yet,
right?
Or
and
if
we'll
not.
go over that here shortly. Like they, in the first, which is the only one that matters now, going into 2018's Halloween. In the first Halloween, they do not state that they are related, so there's no reason to think that they are related. So they may not be related, because you don't find out that they're related until Halloween 2. So,
which I mean, it touches on in one of the official
in the made-for-TV version footage, it covers on it.
Well, no, it touches on in the official trailers, or one of the official trailers at least. Oh, well, I've heard that it's
for the
your
2018
mom's brother.
Halloween.
Yeah, I've heard that it's your mom's brother or your grandma's brother, and she goes, "Oh no, that's just a rumor. Not my great uncle, not my grandma's brother." Blah blah blah.
So with that being in the trailer, then that's probably all you're going to get, and they're probably not related.
Right.
So that's what I'm
know.
thinking. Because if there's a big twist, why would you have that in the trailer?
Right.
But the way trailers are nowadays, they're done. I'm not going to go into any movie.
Sometimes they even give away too much.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into any movie based off of any kind of trailers.
Right.
So,
because that could be just hey, let's throw their attention this
and
way.
90%, if you've noticed, there's a lot of scenes in trailers that aren't even in the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and kind of like, the Thor's eye patch, if you will.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
But
we'll see.
I mean, is it the end of the beginning? Is it the start of something new? We'll find out on the episode in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be 3 weeks from now.
Because next week we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, and then the 2 weeks from that we have Scream 1996. So we will touch on that. Donald Pleasance was no longer with us. He died shortly after Halloween Resurrection, which is the 6th installment. I believe that film came out in 1995.
Halloween Cursed. Not Resurrection.
He died in Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, which is the 6th installment, which I believe came out in 1995. So he was in 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. He has a voiceover in H2O, which I thought was a badass opening. So it's going to be interesting to see if they use or how they say about, or how they talk about his character in the 2018 Halloween.
Because he's definitely mentioned, but it's his doctor, Samuel Loomis, gone over this and that and this and that. So we'll see.
So we kind of touch bases on what to expect from Halloween 2018.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard and talked about some Easter eggs, which I want to mention one small Easter egg, which is in the first trailer.
Right.
If you've noticed, it shows Michael walking, and behind him are some trick-or-treaters running. And if you notice, the masks that they're wearing are the 3 masks that you see in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So I thought that was pretty cool that they still have that movie.
Which the masks are the witch, the pumpkin, and
skeleton.
the skeleton. Yeah.
So
look out for those. Go back and look for those.
And I mean, that to me, I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. I revisited this morning, and So I had nothing wrong with that movie. I'll probably watch it again before I go see Halloween 2018. So, I mean, man, other than that, this was one of our longer episodes.
Definitely.
Halloween 1978. We talked about the score. We talked about everything, in the film. Everything in the film that was really, really good.
Definitely, and I mean, we've actually gotten a lot of different talks in, and a little bit of different fantasy booking, if you will, or
for the new one, right?
whatever.
And we'll go into the next episode about Halloween 2018. We'll revisit some more of this stuff. One thing I would like to touch bases on now is we'll talk about the ending of the 78 Halloween. Is how he almost pretty much had Laurie done away with.
Almost.
She took his mask off, and then Dr. Loomis comes up and just blasts him 6 times. And what do you see is, he falls over, falls down to the ground, and Loomis is in shock that he stood all those shots. And she asked him, that was the boogeyman. And then Dr. Loomis famously says, as a matter of fact, it was. And he goes down to see, and Michael's already gone.
Which I thought was funny because, Tommy is, the boogeyman, and Laurie's just like, shut up, stop it, there's no such thing, and she starts believing.
So, I mean, but the ending goes right into Halloween 2, and Halloween 2 is the continuation of Michael trying to get Laurie Strode in the hospital, but we won't cover any of that just yet because 2018's Halloween, Halloween 2 never happened. So, I mean, man, as we wrap up this show, we're getting ready for, Halloween 2018. We talked about what we're most excited about, some previews, and the Easter eggs of Halloween 2018. Wrapping up today's show, man. Rapid fire, man. Going through these questions. Final thoughts on the movie?
Good movie, good overall.
What if you had to give it your star rating, man, out of 10? What would you do? I believe IMDb gave it a solid. IMDb gave it a solid 7.8.
Oh no, man. Stating mine, I'd say it's a solid 9.5. Masterwork on the score. Masterwork. Great work on the actual visuals. Great work on everybody's character. I mean, and what's funny is John Carpenter cast people and didn't give them much to go on. Just do your lines, be right here, do you, basically is what he said. And, even the little song that Laurie Strode is singing when you see Michael come up about 30 yards behind her, Jamie Lee Curtis came up on her own. So, there's different things like that I think is just an amazing thing that the director actually says, you know what, I cast you for a reason, just say your lines, be right here, and I want your interpretation of this character. That's all I want, and I thought that was a really amazing thing. So, apart from the little mistakes like the guy looking over the hedge when her and Linda are talking, that's part of a crew actual mess up, but you don't really think about that because, it's a neighborhood. People are going to be on their porch. Simple as that. Oh, well, get over it, He just was like, okay, it kind of fits. I'm going to keep it. Whatever. And plus they're filming on location, so people could have been there. Simple as that. But as in rating, definitely 9.5 out of 10. Easy for me. One of the best movies I've seen. One of the best movies that continue to date, in my opinion. Simple.
Yeah. I'm going to be a little bit biased. I'm giving this movie a 10 out of 10. This has always been my go-to horror movie. I watch it multiple times a year. It could be smack dab in the middle of February, Valentine's Day. I'm watching Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
This movie never gets old with me. It's so, it literally feels like it takes 30 minutes to watch it because the movie to me is just so good, and it never drags. But yeah, I give it a solid 10 out of 10. I can watch this for as long as I can.
I just wanted more. That's all. I just wanted more. That's my only big gripe is that I would like to understand more.
we're definitely getting more on October 18th when we go see Halloween 2018. But as we rapid fire the end of this episode and we get ready for next week, there's really nothing else to talk about other than next week, and that is going to be the man who haunts you in your dreams. And man, if I had to pick something behind Halloween and Scream, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original one, directed by the man himself, Wes Craven, is
played
all
by the man
about
himself.
Robert Englund.
Oh yeah.
Freddy Krueger, A Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't get any more creepier than... What does everybody look forward to? Going and laying down and taking a nice good nap or going to sleep.
Oh yeah.
And if you can't do that and this man is constantly getting at you...
The sheets cannot protect you. The blanket cannot protect you. Because guess what? You're in his world now.
So man, this is going to be an episode that I'm going to have too much fun with. A Nightmare on Elm Street comes to you next week. What are you most looking forward to about A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, I mean, personally, I've got to say it's probably 1 and then Dream Street or Dream Warriors. Is mine.
But as far as the episode goes, like touching bases on, learning a little bit more about it.
Just learning more. I mean, that's my thing. I like to learn more. I like the facts. I like the little, I'd say the little key facts about the persons, how they come up with the character, what the storyline entails, and how they came up with it. Halloween was supposed to be called The Babysitter Murders originally, and different things like that. Like I want to see what it was supposed to be called, why they came up with it.
Definitely getting into it. A Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, is that what it is, and I mean, it's basically Wes Craven had a nightmare about a man with fingers, and this is what he wrote. This is his script. This is his movie, starring Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, the famous John Saxon as Lieutenant Thompson, and a young Johnny Depp. So written and directed by Wes Craven. This movie is amazing. I cannot wait to get into it long form. IMDb gave it a 7.5. We are definitely going to give our star rating next week. So next week is all things A Nightmare on Elm Street as we get into the middle of Halloween season. So that's pretty much what we're covering next week is A Nightmare on Elm Street, like I said. And then the week after that, we will be covering Scream from 1996. That's actually one of the newer movies that we've covered so far. Yeah. 96, 20 years old.
Which is funny, just, knowing that, simple as that. But, hey, we're doing some of the classics to begin with. Simple. Not that hard to imagine.
And then after that, it is all things Halloween 2018 as we go cover that in the theater. We will cover that long form. So, as we get ready to sign off, man, this has been one hell of an episode, one hell of a movie.
Definitely.
I enjoyed going back and recovering a lot of these untold stories and talking about this film. So, man, until next week when we have everything to do about Freddy, we have 1 week to go. We're getting ready for Freddy. Everybody, enjoy OU Texas weekend.
This is Edward Silverscreen signing out.
And then, man, this is Johnny Real, and we are saying that we will see you and talk to you next week. Don't forget to follow us. Search us, Facebook, Movie Reels 405. This is Johnny Real from the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. We'll see you next week.